Welcome to the Frisco Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Ellis, and today we are going out live for the first time, so hopefully this is, you guys are all tuning in. If not, you'll be watching this and listening to it a little bit later. Our guest today is Dana DeVance, co-founder of DeVance Electronic Lifestyle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
I am so excited to have you here because what you guys do is something near and dear to my heart, but I have zero expertise in it, so I've got a million questions, and we're going to talk all about the stuff that you guys do.
Awesome.
So, DeVance, I've always thought of you guys in terms of home theater, but you do so much more than that as well. Why don't you give us the rundown of who DeVance is and what you guys do?
Thank you. DeVance is our last name, so I think it's important to state for the record that the reason we put our name on our company is because we stand behind our products, our services, and our people, and also our clients. I especially am internally one of the biggest advocates for our clients. But to answer your question, what we do specifically is home automation, audio, video, basically all things electronic integration. So the name DeVance Electronic Lifestyle is something that we sort of formulated after we've been doing business for a few years. And the reason that we call ourselves Electronic Lifestyle is because it starts a conversation and people say, what is this electronic lifestyle you speak of? And then that's where we can discuss, what does it mean for you? What does electronic lifestyle mean for you? Because it's something different for everyone. We're so connected by our devices that why shouldn't we be connected in our homes, you know? And so if that means you want to turn on and off your lights or change your volume on your music or look at your cameras, see who's, you know, around your property, what's going on in your property while you're out of town or whatever the case may be, it's all of those things and so much more. So it really is a unique thing, personal to every person. And we do the automation of whatever the families want in their homes. And we also do corporate as well, corporate and commercial. Okay,
so you guys are going to work in businesses and in people's homes.
Absolutely.
Obviously, home theater is a part of that, but it's also home automation.
Yes.
Anything else, or does it all kind of fall under those couple of things?
It falls in those categories. Okay. You know, security is a big thing. Automated shades is a big thing. Lighting control. Of course, in my mind, it all stems from a passion of loving music. You know, but there's a lot of people out there who are movie buffs, and that's really what drives them. And so for them, a home automation system is mostly around their home theater or, you know, their family room system, entertainment system. But for me, it's all started with music, and then it kind of progressed from there. And my husband's always been the technological smart guy. And so he's designed, I can't even tell you how many different systems for so many people using all kinds of different products and just integrated their lifestyles.
What kind of music do you like? If I were to come over to your home, what would I hear playing on your system?
You're going to hear anything from Chopin, classical music, to Rage Against the Machine, to Tool, to Sade, Thievery Corporation. I mean, we love music. We listen to all different kinds of genres. I know I'm in Texas, and it's probably blasphemous to say this, but I don't listen to country music. I never have and never will.
It's okay. I don't either.
But there's a huge market there for, you know, here in Texas for that. So, yeah.
Okay, very good. And when did you guys start the business? How did that get up and going?
Yeah. My husband has been doing this industry since the early 90s. I want to say since like 93, which, you know, for those of you who know electronics nowadays, you know that there really wasn't much in the automation world in that time. So things have evolved quite a bit since then. But no, we started officially in 2002. We started our company out of a spare bedroom in our home. And my husband pretty much ran that like a one-man show. He did have a technician, a very talented technician that worked with him in our home. The two of them went out to projects. They installed and programmed everything together. And that was kind of it for a little while, and then it was time to grow. And I joined him in 2007 and started helping him grow this company. And now we have 12 employees, and we run out 3 different crews every day. And we're busier than we know what to do with. Our heads are spinning. It's a wonderful thing.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the people that listen to the podcast and that we have on are business owners like yourselves. So we'll talk more about the things that you do for your customers. But just for a moment, let's talk about the business and how you grew the business, because growth always comes with challenges. What were some of the things that you guys ran into when you said it was time to grow?
Yes.
And you have to figure that out. And I've run into this before with different businesses as well. How did you expand the business and help it to grow without getting too far ahead of yourselves or being held back by the things that needed to be overcome?
Absolutely. No, it was one of those things where there's only so much any one person can do. We're all given the same 24 hours in a day. We're all given the same 7-day work week. And what can you do with your time? There's only so much we're humanly capable of. And I was watching my husband try to be all of those things that a business needs. Try to be the salesperson. Try to be the person that pays the bills. Try to be the person that pays the taxes. Try to be the person that sends out the bills to the clients. Try to be the person that follows up with the clients. And I saw him wearing all these hats, and I thought, I could come in and help for a minute in these certain areas, and then I'll very quickly find out I am not the right person to do those things either. Let's find a smarter person. Let's find a more energetic person. Let's find someone with more skills in this area or that, and bring them in to do these certain things. And so in 2007, when I joined Matt and started helping him grow this company, the first thing I realized was I'm not an accounting person. We need an accounting person. So I hired an accounting person at that time, and she was our first employee, and started helping us get some things in the books, so to speak, getting us caught up to where we had been all those previous years, and then give us something to start with and go forward. And we started hiring more technicians, and mostly we hired technicians from there, and systems designers, technical people. But we realized we really needed a customer service person, and actually that was going to be kind of the glue of our company is customer service. And to this day, I really think that's what sets us apart. And so we wanted to have a customer service person that would basically be a client advocate, as I was mentioning earlier, have a client advocacy standpoint, but also be able to work with our techs and send them out to their projects, organize the schedule, make sure that they're out with strict work orders that say these are the things you're taking care of today in this client's home, and these are the expectations, and just making sure that we're very communicative, both internally with our techs, with the management, with the ownership, and then also with our clients, so that everybody knows what's going to happen, and we can not only meet but exceed expectations as long as those communications are in place. So it was real important to grow with the right people. And we very shortly thereafter moved into an office space for the first time. And after being there for a couple of years, we realized, people want to see stuff. They want to hear stuff. They want to come in and be able to compare speakers and see the different TVs that, what's the latest. For a while there it was 1080p, and then it's 4K, and now it's coming up on 8K. I mean, there's just so many things happening in the industry as it evolves and technology grows and changes and improves. And so over the years, we've just sort of circled through building a really strong internal staff and having what I call like an external staff, your techs that go out in the field and implement the jobs that we sell, and making sure our clients' expectations are met, because these are people's homes for the most part that we're working in, or someone's place of business. And regardless of where we are, our stuff has to work, and although we're not the manufacturer, we're the integrator, and so we want to make sure stuff that we sell is working. So yeah, so over the years we've just grown with a lot of really good people coming in place.
And 16 years in business now? Did I do the math
16
right?
years, you did.
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
That's a good long run. So
thank you.
Many more of those years continued success.
Yes, thank you.
So let's talk in a little bit more in depth now about some of the things that you guys have in the studio that people could come, or in the shop, I should say, or how do you refer to it? Because it's a little bit of both.
It's all of these things. It's a showroom. So we have our showroom, but we also have our office space there. We also have our warehouse there. I mean, it's basically where DeVance lives. Although when we were building it out, we did not build in showers because we knew if we did, we would really never leave. So we had to actually make sure we had a reason to go home. So our dogs are at home, and if we want to get to our closets and our showers, we go home.
That's smart. That's smart. Yeah, it'd be just tempting to stay there all the time.
Yeah.
So we've been in before, into the showroom, and it is a beautiful space. You guys have some really amazing things to see in there.
Thank you.
And for me, one of the highlights was, and I think these were fairly new when I came in, they were still being set up, was this new pair of Martin Logan speakers in one of the theater rooms. And just for anybody out there, if you've never heard Martin Logan's and you're in the market for a pair of high-end speakers, these things are hard to beat. They're amazing. They're beautiful. And the sound is truly unlike anything you've ever heard.
Thank you.
In my opinion, yeah, those things are incredible. So you guys have that kind of equipment there, and Macintosh amps and all this fun stuff for anybody that's like really into that. What other new things? What else is coming out? What's new for you guys? What other things could people come in and look forward to seeing if they stop by the showroom?
Yeah, well, we're really excited. We are in the process of becoming the only displaying dealer for Bang & Olufsen, which a lot of people know out there as B&O. We will be the only displaying dealer in really the whole South Central region. That includes all of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. There's a couple of different states that surround Texas that also don't have any displaying dealers for B&O. And it's a beautiful product line, very high-end, kind of has a cult following. You know, I say that in an endearing way. Very similar to Macintosh, which you just mentioned.
Not the computer, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know that.
No, Macintosh is a wonderful brand. They've been around since the 40s, I believe, the 1940s or the 1950s. All handmade right here in the USA, in Binghamton, New York, of all places. And that's a company that is really admirable to see their growth. And there are people that have worked in their factories for 30-plus years. I mean, you know they treat their people right if they can have people with that kind of longevity of career working for them. And then Martin Logan also, you know, the speakers you're speaking of are the Neoliths, which for any of our listeners out there, I think they're 7.5 feet tall and probably close to 3 feet wide, and they're just huge, beautiful red. I call it Ferrari red, although there is a real name for that color, but beautiful speakers, gigantic, larger-than-life speakers, but they really bring the experience home. And so we're really pleased to have been displaying those in our theater for a little while now. And interestingly enough, the Martin Logan rep actually came and helped us sort of calibrate our room when we first got them installed. And he said it was one of the best rooms he'd heard ever around the country, anywhere in his whole experience in being a rep for Martin Logan. So that was huge points for us there.
How did you guys create that room? Because I remember seeing it. It looks amazing. But there are some acoustically, I don't even know what the right words are, but it's a very acoustically sound room in that it's designed to create that kind of an experience.
It is.
Can you talk a little bit about what went into that? And
Sure. It's a pretty in-depth process to get to that point. But basically, we took the shell of the room and knowing where we wanted our audience to be within that space, basically created a bunch of sweet spots. I am not the technical person to be able to describe, you know, all the different processes that we went through to do that, but there are several different types of acoustics in a room. There's absorption, diffusion, reflection. We're using all of those methods to make sure that this room sounds incredible and that it actually immerses the viewer, the audience, into whatever you're watching, movie, sports, whatever. Obviously, it's a theater, so we have a huge screen. I think we have a 135-inch screen. And then the speaker system, actually, for those of you who are familiar with the technology of surround sound, it's now evolved to be Atmos sound, which in this particular case is an 11.2 system, which means there are 3 speakers in the front. There's the center channel in the middle, and then the 2 right and left tower speakers in this case. And then there are 2 speakers in the side walls, an additional 2 speaker in the back walls, and then 4 in-ceiling speakers, And so there's your 11 total speakers, and then we have 2 big old subwoofers in the back, and my husband keeps saying, oh, we really need 4 subwoofers in this room. So I think there's 2 more subwoofers coming in at some point in the near future. But
I think it can already rattle your teeth, but
it can rattle
more
your
is
teeth.
good.
It can make your heart skip a beat or add a beat, you know, depending on what you're watching. But it's really incredible. We've got a demonstration clip that is just an audio clip. You might have heard this when you came into our showroom, but it's an audio clip of a 747, as in an airplane.
Oh, I don't think I did
flying.
get to hear this.
And so you can sit in any seat in the theater, and my husband will turn on this clip, and there's no video associated with it, so you can have your eyes open or closed or whatever. But no matter whether your eyes are open or closed, every single person who's sat through this demonstration feels like they literally just had a 747 fly immediately above their head. I mean, it rattles your whole being. It's incredible.
I need to come experience that.
Yeah,
I don't
you
think
do.
I got to try that, so we'll definitely have to come in.
Yeah.
On that note, when you're calibrating a room, and I know every room's a little bit different, are there other clips, video, audio, things that maybe a clip from a certain movie that you guys like to use that kind of really helps just dial it in and sort of show off what that room is capable of?
Sure. I think my techs all have their own favorites of what they like to use to calibrate. Myself, what I like to demonstrate for our clients is a clip that has all kinds of different ranges of audio. So I really like it when you can start off a clip that has some dialogue, and it's just like 2 people having a conversation, so the volume levels are relatively low, and then something exciting happens, you know, whether there's an explosion or you know, whatever the case may be. And so there is one scene that we actually used from the Avengers.
Fun.
I think the scene is called something about Loki. Loki has a conversation with Iron Man or something like that. And it starts off very quiet where the demigod Loki and Iron Man are having a discussion, and the Iron Man is putting on his little bracelets.
I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, and then, you know, Loki kind of threatens him a little bit and then ends up throwing him out the window, and you know, Jarvis, is his name?
Yeah,
Jarvis sends the Iron Man suit to come and save him. And I mean, it's just, the sounds that you hear in that scene are really good, you know, because you can hear the actors breathing in certain instances.
Wow.
You can hear very light footsteps. What you don't hear is buzzing. You don't hear interference from the room that you're in. What you hear is really basically everything that was meant to be heard. And so that's what I love. There are certain clips in like Transformers movies where you can hear all kinds of explosions, and you can hear, you know, things hitting the ground, and when the robots are actually changing their shape, when they're morphing into their, you know, alternate personality or whatever, and you can hear all those little crackles and sort of electronic shifting movements and things like that. It's really cool to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, the sound design in those movies is pretty incredible. So
Yeah.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, so the acoustics in the room, I want to jump back to that just for a
Sure.
minute, is something that you guys have built into your showroom, in the theater and the showroom. Is that also something that if I wanted my home to be dialed in like that you guys could also bring all of that to
Absolutely.
home theater as well?
Absolutely. What we did in our showroom is totally custom, and so it's all done via woodworking and hiding things behind acoustically transparent fabric. So all of that can be duplicated in someone's home or a corporate space, for that matter, or a commercial building. It can also be done very nicely with acoustic panels. You know, in the studio that we're in, there are several acoustic panels on the wall here that would, I'm sure, help with absorption and reflections and things like that. There are modular panels that you can introduce into a home theater environment as well. And there's all kinds of really beautiful options.
Yeah, it can look amazing as well. It doesn't just sound
Yeah.
amazing, but it also looks beautiful and creates a really interesting, unique kind of environment to enjoy your films in.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
All right, so let's move over now to the home automation piece of this, because I
Sure.
know it's home automation, it's security, it's a whole bunch of other things. But, you know, when I hear home automation, you know, I think about things like turning my lights on and off and locking my doors and things of that nature. But I'm sure you guys have seen everything under the sun. So what are some of the types of things beyond just, turning my lights up and down that you guys can help somebody do in their home if they want to be able to control it electronically. And I'm assuming that they can do this, at least some of this, at home, but also when you're not at home, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, all those things. And it really kind of depends on what each person individually wants. But yeah, lighting control is a big aspect of it. Nowadays especially when people are building homes, their thoughts are, I'm going to have light fixtures in this home that I want to be on a programmable scene or an automated scene. It makes sense that you think, okay, when I wake up in the morning, what's my behavior towards turning on and off my lights? The first thing you might do is turn on a light that's a little bit dimmer because you've been sleeping and presumably it's dark outside when you're waking up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning or whatever. Once again, to each his own. Everybody's going to be different. But you might think, hey, I just want a very, a nice soft light that's going to light my path from my bed to my bathroom, or maybe from my bedroom down the hallway to the kitchen because I'm going to grab a cup of coffee first, or, whatever your lifestyle may be. And so if you have a set time that you want to wake up and you want to have this all programmed to, come on at 5:45 or 6:02 or whatever, all that can be done, programmed personally to custom fit any lifestyle. But lighting control is a big deal. And, at the end of the day, when you come home, I'll just say from my own experience, when I come home at the end of the day, my husband already has lights programmed to a certain level that, I may be in the kitchen getting ready to feed the dogs or getting ready to cook dinner or whatever. And the lights are already on at a certain level. And so for the most part, I don't even have to touch a light switch. But the good thing about most lighting control systems is if I choose to, I can increase the light level very easily with a touch of the switch there on the wall, or I can go to my phone and I can up or down the dim level, turn on and off, lights that may not be on that scene. Everybody's going to be different. So each scene is going to vary. And sometimes people might be living in their homes and realize, I really want my lights to be brighter at this hour. And that's a very easy thing for us to either go in and fix, or sometimes in a lot of cases, the homeowner can do it themselves.
Okay. And you can tie all this into security systems too, right?
Yes.
Now, I know security would apply to a business.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to include things like fobs, key cards, all that kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the electronic business lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. No, and it's interesting because from an automation standpoint, lights have a big deal, or are a big deal in security.
Yeah.
If you're sleeping in your bed and you hear somebody's breaking a window down below, in your first floor, you want to be able to very quickly turn on your lights, make sure they know somebody's home, and then also give yourself that light so that you can see what's happening. We have a lot of clients who prefer to have a keypad by their bed because for whatever reason, they don't want to go to their phone and try to do that in the middle of the night when there's an intruder. So there's a keypad that actually lives on their bedside table that they can very easily hit all on, and every single light in the house comes on with that command. And obviously it's programmed that way. Yes. Another thing that is sort of a hidden security measure is automated shades. Most people, when they think of shades, they think of privacy, which obviously can lend itself to security as well. But if there's a shade drawn over a window and somebody's looking at that house and they want to break that window, they don't know what's on the other side of that window. So with a shade down like that, they're probably going to move on to another easier opportunity. But secondly, if they did choose to break that window, going through the shade is not as easy as you might think, especially if the shade is down through blackout side channels or something like that. It's actually going to be another barrier that they have to break through in addition to the glass. So it's interesting. Most people don't consider automated shades from a security standpoint, but they sure do help.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And things like cameras and things like that, how do those come into play with the security and like home security?
Yes, and so your cameras, once again, they're going to be different for everybody and every budget. There are some cameras that if you're in a completely black space, as in the lights are out, there's no ambient light, there's no way you can see what's going on, your camera may or may not be able to see, depending on the quality of your camera. Some cameras are going to see gray levels, basically, in that low light situation. Other cameras could tell you that that person has blue eyes and pink and green speckles on their shirt.
Wow.
In a pitch black environment. So it really kind of depends on the quality of the cameras. But one of the cool things that we're finding is that people want eyes around their property, you know, so to speak. So they may want 5 to 16 cameras around the exterior of their property so they can see what's going on from a lot of different angles. You can always go back and review footage, and you can see where a car may have been casing your property for a couple of hours, and then they finally pull up, and then 2 people get out or whatever, and you can see the license plate on that car. You can see the color of that car, time and date stamped. You know, there's just all kinds of ways that cameras are playing into security these days.
Okay. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of options too. So
lots of options.
Somebody's thinking about home security, they ought to give you a call and find out what
Sure,
those are.
Absolutely.
So for people that are interested, they want to do more home automation, home theater, home security, or business, all of those things for business as well. What's the best way for them to find you guys?
Sure. Well, of course, we have a website. It is DeVance.tv. That's DEVANCE.
Got it.
.TV, like television. And our phone number is 214-389-4985. And that is our office line, which actually at this point in time rolls over to my cell on evenings and weekends because, like I mentioned before, we were talking earlier, we like to be there for our clients. And so although it's not a 911 emergency, if your TV is not working, we look at it as an emergency. We want to be available. So that our phone number, that number I just gave, will roll over to my cell on evenings and weekends so that there's always somebody available to help if there's ever a situation that requires some assistance.
Okay, that's good to know. We'll make sure we link all of that stuff up in the show notes too so people can find you guys very easily. I feel like we could talk about this for another hour and still not run out of things to discuss because I want to know more about 8K TVs and how those are coming along and everything else. But unfortunately, I know we've both got to get moving on to other things, and we're about out of time. So, Dana, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have you back.
Absolutely.
And we'll dive into some of those other topics in the near future.
Very cool.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good to be here.
Thanks to all of you for tuning into the Frisco Podcast. We'll talk to you next time.